We've all had our babies fussing during feeds. How do you know if it's normal or not? Today I'm answering your question, my baby has started fussing during their feeds. What's going on? Hi, I'm Amanda, founder and co-creator of Little One Sleep Programs. At Little Ones, our purpose is to help families get better sleep. And to do that, we have created our own custom-built app, which has an amazing support village where you can ask any question, day or night, to our fully trained, certified sleep consultants. Make sure you visit us at www.little-ones.co if you want any further information, or that we also have loads of free articles around sleep and feeding on our website. So make sure you visit us there. Now, if you want any more information on our YouTube channel around baby sleep, make sure you click that subscribe button and check the notification bell so you get notified of new videos when we upload them. And if you have any comments at any time, pop them down in the comment section and we will do our best to answer them as well. Now, before I get into this video, we're going to have a very quick disclaimer. Most babies will go through periods of fussing. However, if those periods do last longer than a couple of days, then please make sure you visit your GP or talk to your lactation consultant to get some further advice. Now, back to today's question, what might be causing those fussy periods of your baby? Now, looking right back at the youngest age in a newborn, the most common reason that your baby would start fussing during feeds is because of trapped wind. Now, trapped wind can be easily fixed, often by sitting your baby upright, burping them or belching them, and making sure they have room for more milk to go in. When the baby has trapped wind, it will feel like they're full and they don't need to feed anymore. So we need to get that wind out, of course. Now, there's varying degrees of trapped wind. I had one baby that only needed to be burped one time in the middle of a feed and then once at the end, and I had another baby who had trapped wind all the time. She needed burping almost every few minutes, and she was the worst fussy feeder that I have seen in a long time. Now, this brings me on to other causes of trapped wind. Now, there could be a reason why your baby is getting more than sort of the normal amount of trapped wind. In my case, she couldn't really breathe properly. Often this happens when our babies get a cold or are a bit snotty and they can't actually breathe properly through their nose. So in my oldest's case, it was actually because her adenoids were too big, and that just meant that she couldn't breathe through her nose, so she was coming off all the time and unable to actually breathe through her nose and swallow at the same time. Other reasons that your baby can be fussy at a newborn age is they may have a tongue tie or they may have reflux as well. So both of those things, obviously, please go to your GP or your lactation consultant and get them to check those things if you've got an extremely fussy feeding baby. And if you are curious if your baby might be showing signs of reflux, we do have a fantastic article which we will link up here. And also I'll pop it in the comments that you can read later on and see if your baby is showing any signs of reflux. Now, moving on from the newborn stage, onto about 4 months old babies, when they're feeding can become really distracted and really nosy at this age. So what you can try and do is feed in a really dark room, or you could maybe wear like a necklace around your neck that they can play with whilst they're feeding, or give them a snuggly toy to play with while they're feeding. That will help distract them whilst they're feeding to make sure they actually are getting a good feed. If you're bottle feeding and your baby is getting really fussy, it could be a sign that you need to move on to the next flow of teat. Maybe the milk flow isn't fast enough for them, or when they're a newborn, maybe the flow is actually too fast for them and they're really sort of drowning in that milk and they need a little bit of a slower teat to help them feed at a better rate. If you're breastfeeding and you have a really fast letdown, this can also be a cause of fussy feeding at that beginning part of the letdown where the flow is just too fast and they're just struggling to keep up. The other side of it is it could be that the milk is coming out too slow or there isn't enough milk and the baby is just getting frustrated by that. Now, if you think that either one of those things might be the issue, please make sure you talk to a qualified lactation consultant and get a proper assessment. From around 5 to 6 months of age, babies can be starting to introduce solids, and now solids can also affect your milk feeding times. Either they might be having too much solids and they're actually not really hungry anymore for those milk feeds. Depending on the quantities and the age of your baby, you might want to play around and adjust those amounts at either one of the solid meal or the milk feed. Another thing that can really start to impact from around 4 to 6 months of age of fussy feeding during the day is how much they're feeding overnight. So if your baby is actually feeding a couple of feeds overnight, they actually probably don't need too much milk during the day anymore, especially in that morning period. So if you're finding that your baby is not feeding well at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's probably because they're actually full from the overnight feeds. So have a look at what's happening overnight and adjust accordingly. So some other tips of dealing with fussy feeding is to also determine that your baby isn't overtired when you're trying to feed them. How you can counteract this is by feeding straight after they wake up from a nap to make sure they're really alert and getting a good feed, and that can help with making sure they've got a lot of time to get their wind out before the next nap as well. If your baby is getting really frustrated and upset, then please make sure you give them a break, go and do something else, do an activity with them, and then come back when they're calm. And please don't continue if your baby is getting really frustrated. And other things that you can do is change the scenery, go to a different room, go outside and feed. You can change sides to make sure that it isn't a milk flow issue. And if all else fails, just give them a nice cuddle and try and calm them down and start again. I hope you found this video helpful and answered any questions that you might have around why your baby might be fussing during their feeds. If you liked this video, please give us a big thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, make sure you check the subscribe button and click that notification bell. Check out the description section down below. We'll pop in a few articles down there that we hope you find helpful as well. And as always, if you have any questions, pop them in the comment section below and we'll do our best to answer those. And we'll see you in the next video. Talk soon.